Hey there! Today is a special occasion. Today I have the opportunity to share with you three Victorinox Type 1897 officers and sports knives, the very first forerunners to what we know as today's Swiss Army knife. So these are fiber scale 4-pin models. You see what I'm talking about here? You have the two end pins and then two pins here in the center, not just the center pin, but you have a fourth pin here. That'll date these as the very first type of Swiss Army knives. Two of these we've seen before. The top one and bottom one are from my collection, but the one in the middle is newly acquired by Dave Arnold. He's been able to get a 9 centimeter 4-pin model, and he has sent that to me to clean up. I've done that, so while I had it, I wanted to take the opportunity to show all three at once. You know, 2 or 3 years ago, I never would have dreamt that I would have three of these knives all together at once, but here we are. And so these knives, you know, the way they're all 9 centimeter. They've all got the fiber scales, of course, and they're 4 pins. So that was the Type 1897. Now, these knives actually date from about 1902 because they have extra tools. They all happen to have a saw, which is not planned, it just happened. And so Victorinox brought out these extra tools, saw, scissors, toothpick, tweezers. They introduced those in 1902. So we can date these knives from like 1902 up to 1909 when Victorinox started using a 3-pin construction. As you see here. So those fiber scales, but now you're looking at 3 pins as opposed to 4. And this knife here in particular, the one with the shield, that's probably like 1903 to 1909 because it does have the optional shield and bail as first shown in the 1903 catalog. Okay, so let's take a tour through Dave's Type 1897. The first thing I noticed about this knife is that while it has nickel-silver pins, it has brass liners, which I think is pretty unusual. The one that I have, which is really identical to it, has nickel-silver pins and liners, or they may be aluminum liners. We're really not sure about that material yet. And so does this one. And then the one I have that's 3 pins, so that would be after 1909. It's actually after 1923 because it's also stainless. It has brass pins and brass liners. So Victorinox used a combination of those materials, but I still think in the early years, but I still think it's unusual to find kind of a hybrid like this where you have one type of pin and one type of liner. So while we have this open, here's the old style awl. And the corkscrew, 5 turns and no groove. It's interesting, the really old ones were not fluted like today's. And the scales are in relatively good shape. There's a few little cracks at the pins, and you'll notice some staining around those end pins. That's not uncommon on these old fiber scale knives. And why some of them, what it is, it's corrosion in the pins that bleeds into the fiber material, and you really can't get rid of it because it's throughout the material. I think maybe why some knives exhibit it and others do not would come down to probably the maintenance or care that the knife got through the years. You know, perhaps this one was put up wet a few times or used to cut acidic foods like fruit and wasn't cleaned, or maybe it wasn't oiled enough or something like that. But it's just staining in the fiber scales, and they're sound, and the knife mechanically is very sound. So let's just go through the opening tool layer. Here's the old plunge style can opener. You know, Victorinox didn't go with the safety can opener. It looks like a lobster claw until 1946. And here is the screwdriver. No cap lifter. Now when you get a solid screwdriver like this on a Victorinox or a Wenger, you're looking at a very old knife. There's not a lot of snap on the close of those two tools. We'll give the knife a pass. It's over 110 years old. Here is the saw, and it is very snappy, has good spring tension. These saws have very small nail nicks. And so this having the basic tool set and a saw would be a number 237 according to that 1903 Elsner catalog, akin to today's camper. And here's the small secondary blade. It's a slender clip point blade. The blades on this knife are in good shape. And then here's the main blade. Of course, these are all carbon steel. This one has a tank stamp Army Swiss with the Swiss cross to the left. And not italicized. That's interesting. So just a quick look at that knife. Okay, well, I'm pleased to be able to put 3 of those on the table in front of you at once. I hope you've enjoyed that. Here comes a little slideshow to show the condition of this knife before and after its cleanup. Thanks for watching, and have fun collecting.